Welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time stopping by, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. It looks like this, and the little notification bell so that you will be notified every time a new video goes up, which is every Monday, Wednesday, and sweet Saturdays. So in today's video, I'm gonna be showing you how to make some Spanish Hispanic rice. So this is gonna be super easy to do. I'm gonna show you actually how to flip your rice to make sure it comes out really good, because I know sometimes people have trouble with their rice coming out too hard or too soft. And I'm gonna show you my trick to make it, or not my trick, but this is like traditionally how to flip the rice to make sure it comes out perfect. And yeah, so let's get veggie. So shall we get started? Let's go. So first off, I'm gonna start off by pointing out that I'm using a caldero, aka a pot. But this is like a really thick, a heavy bottom kind of pan. You want to use something that's like this. You don't want to use like a thin aluminum to make your rice in, because it will stick. It'll get like a smoke smell, which we call umao, and you don't want that. So you need a nice thick pan in order to make this rice turn out right. So let's just start off by turning on our heat. I have my heat on high. And into my pan, I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm also adding in half a medium red onion and 1 small red bell pepper. And the onion doesn't have to be red. You can use yellow, white, any onion you have on hand. And I'm just gonna mix this around. And again, our heat is on high. And I'm gonna do a little salt and pepper, as I usually do at this stage. At this point, I'm also adding in 2 tablespoons of frozen sofrito. If you have fresh sofrito or store-bought sofrito, you can use that now. If you don't know what sofrito is, it's basically like peppers, cilantro, just different herbs and spices blended together. And you can get this from any supermarket that has like a Hispanic aisle or a Goya aisle, and they actually sell it in jars. I make my own, but sometimes I also buy like the jar if I'm like in a rush. It's a green jar and it says sofrito on it. So now that our onions are translucent and our sofrito defrosted, I'm gonna toss into the center 3 garlic cloves that have been shredded up. You could also just dice them. And as soon as it starts getting fragrant, which should be like a minute or sometimes not even because it's on high, we're gonna mix everything together. And we're also gonna toss in 4 cups of vegetable stock. And this Hispanic or Puerto Rican type of rice is not normally done with vegetable stock. Usually what we would add in is just water, and then we would toss in a bouillon cube. So if you don't have vegetable stock, you could also do 4 cups of water and a cube of vegetable bouillon. And I'm also gonna be adding in half a can of 8-ounce tomato sauce. At this point, I'm adding in an extra tablespoon of vegetable oil, and that'll just keep your rice from sticking. I'm also gonna add 1/4 cup of chopped up olives, and these are just pitted olives. And for our seasonings, we have a teaspoon of sazon, 3 tablespoons of garlic powder, 3 tablespoons of onion powder. There's more. I'll link the recipe down below, but I also have here 1 tablespoon of adobo seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, and 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper. And you guys, I can't even explain how delicious this smells. At this point, you can taste it. Taste your broth here, and you want it to taste a little tiny bit like over salted. At this point, you can taste it, and if you want to add a little bit more of adobo, you can. I'm just adding about 1/4 teaspoon more of adobo. Like I said, it's just because you want it to be a little more salty at this point, because the rice will absorb all the flavors, and if it's like at the perfect stage right now, then the rice will be a little bland. So you just want to make sure it tastes, to taste. If you don't want to do more adobo, you could add a pinch of salt, because how the flavor will depend a lot on your vegetable stock as well. So if you have like a low sodium vegetable stock, you'll need to add a little bit of salt. Once the rice starts to boil, we're going to add 3 cups of white rice. And this is extra long grain. You could also use just regular long grain. If you're making this rice, I'm going to quickly cover this up, but if you're making this rice, the ratio that you're looking for is however many cups of rice you add, just add 1 extra cup of water or liquid over top of that. And we're going to cover it up and leave it slightly ajar. And I've lowered the heat down to a medium-high heat until this dries up, or almost completely dries up, which should take about 10 minutes. And I almost forgot one thing that I wanted to also show you. I'm going to do half a cup of beans. I'm sorry, half a can of beans. And since I already covered this up, I'm not going to remix it until it's ready to mix. So I just tossed it on top. But you would add it in along with the broth and the rice. So half a jar or half a can of, I'm using black beans because that's what I have on hand. And I like to show you guys to use whatever you have on hand. But normally you would use pigeon peas. You could also do half a can of pink beans, kidney beans, or even corn, half a can of corn. So I'm getting ready to flip our rice. Not stir, I'm gonna flip it. I just lowered the heat down to low. And as you can see, there's still like little bubbles around the edges of our rice. And usually I actually allow for it to be like a little bit more bubbles around. All right, so I'm gonna grab it and flip it just like that. I'm just going like straight under. Don't scrape the bottom because there will be some pieces that are stuck, some rice stuck to the bottom, and you don't wanna like scrape that up. That's what's gonna give us our pegao. And if you don't know what pegao is, it's basically just like the crispy rice at the bottom of the pan, which a lot of Latinos love. So I'm flipping it around. And I'm just going around the entire pot, just flipping around, and then I'm gonna go in the center and also give it a flip. And this is just to ensure that everything is cooked evenly rather than just stirring everything. I put the heat down to low, and I'm gonna cook it for 15 minutes. All right, so it's been 15 minutes, and we're gonna flip it again. Whoops. I know also some people like their rice a little more red or a little more orange, so they'll add a little extra sazon. Some people don't like bay leaves in their rice, so you don't have to add that if you don't like bay leaves. This is really, really customizable. Like I said, you could do corn instead of beans, and you can do different kinds of beans. And so yeah, we're gonna cover this up again, and we're gonna flip it again in 15 minutes, and then our rice will be done. So our rice is done. We just took it off the stove. And let me show you. We're gonna stir it one last time, or flip it one last time. And at this point, your rice will look like slightly softer than what it will be once it kind of like cools down a little bit. I guess it's kind of like lasagna in a way. How lasagna is like really soft, and then once it cools down, it gets a little firmer. So this is the way this rice kind of works too. It's a little bit softer like this when it's like really, really fresh, and then it kind of like hardens up slightly. But this is what your rice looks like. Super yummy. All right, so it's time for the taste test cam. This smells so incredibly good. And I know I'm always saying stuff smells incredibly good, tastes incredibly good, but this is like, it smells crazy good. All right, so we have our bites here ready for us. We have some pepper. We have little tiny pieces of onion. If you guys don't like peppers and onion like whole like that, you can blend them up and then toss it in there so you can still get the flavor, but you don't have like the actual pieces, especially if you have little picky eaters. And then we have olives and we have beans, and we're going in. Oh my gosh. I love, love, love myself some Hispanic, Latino, Spanish, Puerto Rican, Dominican, whatever. Rice. Just, this stuff is awesome. So, so good. Oh, don't forget, by the way, don't forget to take out your bay leaf. Don't eat that. It's very hard. And you don't want anyone choking either. So make sure, I like to always do like large pieces of bay leaves so no one chokes. You guys have to try this dish out and let me know what you guys think. Two of my favorite ways to have this rice is one with corn or with gandules, which is the pigeon peas. And the way with the pigeon peas is the most traditional way of making it. So that's it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to share this video so other people can see how delicious vegan food could be. Also, don't forget to tag me on Instagram, hashtag Let's Get Veggie, at Veggie Rolls, so I can see what you made. I would love to know what you think about it and love to know how it turned out for you. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye, guys.